In this video, we're going to dial it way back compared to some of our recent advanced videos. So here's another tip for you beginners out there. In Godot, did you know you can easily change the size and styling of your labels and other controls like buttons? If you're looking for full control over the styling, you should read the documentation on themes and style boxes. But here's a quick and easy way to do it using basic theme overrides. You could even connect these settings to a few lines of code to create simple animations and effects. Stick around to the end for some examples of that. So let's say you have a label text box, and you want the font size to be really big, or maybe you want it to be really small. Select the label or control and look over here in the inspector. Scroll down to the control section and find the options for theme overrides. You can change some of the most common style properties here directly in the editor. Let's override the font size. Easy enough. We'll make sure the override is active, and we'll set the pixel size up or down to whatever we want. Let's take it a bit further. We'll add a simple border, an outline, and a shadow. We can change the colors for these and a bunch of other constants to get the look we're going for. And all done. Those are the override options for the basic label. Some interface controls like buttons, however, have additional override properties. These are sometimes contained within style box resources. If you want to override the styles for different states of a button, for example when the user is hovering over the button, you'll need to override the different style boxes like this. In this case, we're using a flat styled button, and we'll override the normal unpressed button state. You can adjust the other states using this same technique. For now, we'll just stick with this one override state. We'll change the color and give it a shadow. Like before, this is pretty easy to do right in the editor. And there we go. We can quickly change the style of our labels, our buttons, and our other controls. You can take this further by making them into themes and reusable resources, but we don't need that for these basic effects. As a bonus tip, let's take these two controls and connect their font styles to some tweens to create some simple animations. In Godot, tweens, short for betweens, are used to interpolate a variable from a starting point to an endpoint over a defined period of time. This allows you to transition an object's values over time and is most commonly used to create procedural animation. You should read up on the documentation for all of the cool things that you can do with tweens. We'll just do the easiest properties like shadows and borders to demonstrate. You can even do this with the font size itself or even change the colors to fade back and forth using the tweens. For the label, we'll animate the shadow offset and the outline size. First, we'll create a script and attach it to the label so we have a place to put the simple code. I've already written the code, but let's walk through it. We're going to animate 3 distinct properties. 2 for the shadow position, and 1 for the label outline size. We'll create custom variables for those properties, and also a move speed multiplier that we can adjust as needed. In the ready function that only runs once, we set the label style to its initial starting values, and then we'll set up 2 different looped tweens. A loop is a special type of tween that automatically starts over when it's done running. If we didn't use this, the tween would only run one time and then stop. This first tween will animate both the label's horizontal and vertical shadow offsets at the same time. The shadow will rotate around the center 30 pixels in each direction before restarting the loop. The second tween will animate the outline size of the label in and out. The outline will grow and shrink up to 20 pixels from its original size as the tween runs. In the process function that runs during each game tick, we'll update the label to use the latest values that are being controlled by our tweens. When we execute these tweens as a group, it'll give us the looping animation. The shadow is moving around as expected, and the outline size is growing and shrinking too. We can adjust the move speed variables if we need to. So that's easy enough with the label. But what about the button? We need to remember the button has many states. If we want to animate any setting that's part of a button's style box, then we need to apply the tween using slightly different code. We'll still start by creating a new script for the button. This follows the same structure as before. We'll keep track of our values using custom variables. We'll set up the tween loops in the ready function, and we'll set the values onto the button in the process function. For the variables, we'll focus on animating the outline and the shadow size, and also give it a configurable move speed like before. In the ready function, we'll set up 2 tweens. The first one works on the button's text outline size, just like we did with the label. Here, we'll bounce the border size up and down by 5 pixels. This property isn't part of a style box, so this effect will be visible regardless of what state the button is in. The second tween will animate the shadow size on the button by 20 pixels up and down, but with a twist. It won't impact the font, but the button itself. We're going to make the shadow size bounce in and out on the button, but we'll make this only affect the normal unpressed state. So if we hover over the button or press it, this effect would be temporarily disabled. We can do the same for other button states too, but we'll stick with just this unpressed state for now. Now that we have a normal style box to work with, let's see how we can assign our variables to just this one state. In the process function, we'll always assign the current variables onto the button styles, just like we did with the label. But this time we'll also use a style box so it only impacts the one normal state that we care about. Here's the modified code allowing us to change just that normal state. When we run the button animation, we see both properties are being moved as expected. And since we're only applying the shadow animation to the normal unpressed state, if we hover over or press the button, we see that the style box effect stops and the text border effect still continues. And that's it. It's a super easy way to have some variety in your games and prototypes for your UIs, and will set you up for learning more about skinning and theming features in Godot. Hope it helps, and thanks for watching the Pathfinder's Codex.